One motor, two motors, 60 amp hour battery. This bike is crazy. I'm having way too much fun with this dual motor. Hey, what's going on everyone? Today we're going to be taking a look and testing out the brand new Wallke H9 all-wheel drive e-bike. Now this has a 750 watt rated front hub motor and a 1000 watt rated rear hub motor, and we are going to put this bike through its paces today. As you can see in the intro, how much power this bike has, both up hills, how much speed it has. It's supposed to be like a 33 or 34 mile per hour bike max speed. So you better believe we will be testing that out. Now, Wallke did send me this bike for testing and review, but as you guys know, just like all my other videos, we're gonna put through some fair testing, see all the goods, see all the bads, and see all the features of this bike. But I gotta tell you guys, I'm loving this dual motor bike as far as the power goes and the pickup on the speed. Power delivery on this thing is set up very nicely. It's very smooth. It does not rip your front tire off when you go to pull out. As you can see here, I'm one-handed and able to control it perfectly. But you can feel that front motor kick in once you get going, and it just takes off. And I'll put a link down below in the description, as well as any coupon codes that I can get from the company for you guys to save a few bucks if you're interested in picking this bike up after watching this video. And I believe as of me recording this, there is a coupon code that you can get online there for like 200 bucks. So hopefully that's still available, so you guys can save at least that. And I think currently this bike is somewhere around $2,300 with the 60 amp hour version. Don't quote me on that, but it's somewhere close to that. Now we're gonna go up this hill first of all and see what kind of speed it can do. I usually do this in the beginning of all my tests with throttle only. Now some of the slower 750 watt bikes will go up this hill around 5 to 6 miles an hour, and the more powerful, faster ones are usually around 9 to 10. My fastest bike up this hill so far is the Ocelot Pro. It was like 11 miles per hour with just throttle. I always start off at this post. So let's see what this thing can do in dual motor all-wheel drive mode. And we're gonna do just throttle only and see how fast it is. Let's see if we can beat the 11 miles per hour. Holy cow, 19 miles an hour, 18, 17, 16, 15. So it did drop to 15 miles per hour, but that's 4 miles per hour faster up that hill than my fastest rear hub motor e-bike, which is a 52 volt, 750 watt motor on the Ocelot. This is dual motors. But we're gonna hit some regular hills that I normally go up in some of my videos and see how this thing makes it up with just throttle. We'll see if there's any limitations, if the controller gets hot. Now this is using a 40 amp controller. It's a 22 plus 18, which means 22 amps going to the rear motor and 18 amps going to the front motor. Now they do say that the rear motor peaks at 1600 watts and the front peaks at 12, but to be honest, I don't think that's the case, because that would have to be like a 50 amp controller. Now, they tried explaining it to me, telling me like 30 amps times 52 is 1600 and some watts, but it's I guess the controller might be able to peak at 30 amps to the rear motor, but you're not going to get the full amp output to the front then, because it's only a 40 amp controller total. With that being said, it does seem like it has great power. Now I'm 175 pounds or so keep that in mind during this test. All right, so let's get into this right away with a speed test. Now this is fairly level before I hit this incline. Throttle only. 28, 29, 30. Display's showing 32, and I'm hitting uphill here. So we're gonna have to test this again on a longer straight stretch, but 30 miles per hour so far with just throttle. I might be able to get a little faster than that. And I do want to mention that my battery, I started at 52 volts on this rad today instead of 54 volts, which is max, and that's gonna be typical. Once you start riding and your voltage starts to lower a little bit, this is going to be more of what you can expect, because you're never going to maintain a full 54 volts. So this will be more of a fair test. So hitting this hill here, maintaining good power, 22 miles an hour, and I'm not even pedaling. I'm gonna go ahead and start pedaling. Now this bike is using a 14 to 28 freewheel in the back. It would have been nice to see an 11 to 32 or an 11 to 28. That way it would give you a little bit more pedal resistance at top speed, but I'm running out of pedal here at about 24 miles an hour. Now I'm pedaling, not using the throttle, easily 29 miles per hour, and I'm going uphill. Not a huge hill, but it is a slight incline here. This thing is ripping up this hill. I'm not putting a whole lot of effort into it. This is crazy. Dual motor is awesome. Anyway, it would have been nice to see, like I said, an 11 to 28 freewheel on the rear. Probably something I'll update in the future. Let me know down below if you guys want to see a video on that. I've done at least 2 videos now on changing the freewheel out. It is using a 52 tooth chain ring on the front, so that's not too bad. But this thing does have some get up and go. Now, if you look at the display, you can see on there, there's 2 orange wheels. If the lightning bolts are in both wheels, that means you are in dual motor mode. And to change the modes, you hold the I button down. And now when you have 2 orange circles with no lightning bolts, that's like an automatic all-wheel drive mode. Now I'm not sure exactly how that works because that's actually not in the manual, but I can tell you that it's a little bit more of a slow, easygoing start. It's not going to be as peppy and take off as fast. You'll probably get a lot more range if you're in that mode. Then if you want to change to rear motor, you just hold the I button down. Now it's just in rear motor mode. And obviously you'll get way more distance out of that mode. And you'll see later on, I'll show you the clip of me going uphill and on a snow-covered hill that I did on my hill test that only one bike made it to the top. You can see a little bit if you watch the wheels spin, kind of how the motors work in each mode and how much power they're getting. So we're gonna go ahead down to the bottom of this hill here and come back up this gravel road and see how it does. And I'm putting this bike basically through a pretty good test as far as getting that controller nice and hot to see if it starts limiting after a while. Very smooth though with the front suspension and the rear suspension. Now the rear does seem a little bit springy and it is not adjustable. The front is adjustable, has multiple different clicks and a lockout. So that's pretty nice there. All right, let's get turned around here and see how this bike will do going up this hill. Let me put it back in dual motor mode. And you could select just rear motor, just front motor like it is now. Now when you're in front motor, it does feel like it has a delay kicking that front motor in, at least 3 seconds or so. And it is really nice and gradual, so it's not going to be all crazy in the front, skipping all over the place. It does feel a little bit peppier when you have it in dual motor mode. And it does take about 1 or 2 seconds before you really feel like kick in and engage. And this thing is ripping me right back up this gravel road here, dual motor mode, just throttle. That's nice. I've never had a bike this powerful yet. So now, like I said before, I don't feel like their peak output ratings are accurate. I mean, they could be. And to be honest, I really don't care about the specs that they say. If you've seen all my other e-bike videos, I go by actual performance, and that's what I like to show in these videos, is how the bikes perform. And that's what we're doing here. And to be honest, guys, it's performing really well. I'm very impressed. Now this is the 60 amp hour version, which is insane. 48 volt, 60 amp hour. You can see the big battery underneath the seat here. And if you get the 40 amp hour version, it's going to be better for shorter riders because you can see the seat has to sit up about 2 inches higher than if you had the 40 amp hour version. Now the 60 amp hour version is only a few $100s more, and you can also get a 20 amp extended range battery to put in the frame here and have up to 80 amp hours of capacity, which is crazy. Now at the time of me filming this, that expansion battery for the extra 20 amp hours is like, I think somewhere around $600 or $700. You get the battery blender, the battery, and a charger. So it is cheaper just to get the 60 amp hour battery right off the bat if you can handle a bike being a little bit taller. Now with that being said, I'm about 5'7.5" to 5'7 3/4" with a 30-inch inseam, and I could ride this bike just fine. And actually, once I get going, this is actually about where the seat height needs to be anyway for proper leg extension. So as long as you don't want to sit on the bike and hit the ground flat-footed, then you might be okay at a smaller height for the 60 amp hour battery version of this bike like I have here. Now I was originally supposed to get the 40 amp hour version because they thought I'd fit a little bit better on it, but I ended up getting the 60 amp hour instead, and I'm glad I did because the range on it is probably going to be pretty amazing. Now we're not going to do a range test today because it is wintertime here and it is a little bit cold out today, but it is one of the warmer days. Last week it was only in the like 12 degrees for the high, so couldn't film a good video during that. Now the brakes on this thing is using 203 millimeter 4-piston hydraulic disc brakes. They are Disland brand, and I gotta tell you, the rotors on these things are super thick, just like the other bikes with Disland brakes that I've reviewed. Listen to that power. Now it does sound like there is a little bit of almost like a skipping in the front motor once it gets up to speed. Not sure exactly why it's doing that. I noticed if you let off the throttle and hit it again, it kind of clears up. So let's see if you can notice that noise when I hit this hill down here. And let's see what this speedometer cuts out at. I'm going downhill here now, or the motor, I mean. 32, leveling back out here, 30. So I would say it's safe to say 30 miles per hour. Let's see what it cuts out at once we start going back downhill again. 31, I kind of felt some kind of cut. It's definitely not engaged now. So I would say safe to say maybe 30, 31 miles per hour. I think 33 to 34 that they state is pushing it a little bit on the specs as far as speed goes. But 30 miles per hour on a bike, especially to be able to hit that with just throttle only, I'm not going to complain. So let's hit it again, going this way. 30. So yeah, easily hitting 30. No problems there. Going uphill here, still maintaining 28, 27. And you can hear that front. It was hard. There it goes. You can kind of hear it skipping a little bit. If you let off the throttle and hit it again, it kind of goes away. I'm not sure why it does that. All right, let's hit this big hill here and see if we can get up this hill with just throttle. It's pretty long, so I might start pedaling because I don't want to destroy the controller. Let's just see what it does here. So far, so good. Usually about right here is where I have to start pedaling most hub motor e-bikes, even the more powerful ones, because I feel like it's putting a strain on it. This, honestly, I don't feel like the motors are straining at all. We probably are pumping out the full 40 amps though here, and the battery voltage is down to 48.3 volts under load, but that's also probably pulling 40 amps from that controller from that battery, so that's why it drops so low. It should start to come back up, and you can hear it skipping there a little bit again, that front motor. It's not skipping, it's just like whoa, 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 whoa. Not sure what that is. I don't know, but that's very impressive that it pulled me all the way up over that hill with just throttle and I never had to pedal. Yeah, see, it's not making that noise now. It's mostly when you're under a little bit of a load. So very, very impressive. All right, so let's go over some of the other specs and features real quick. Up here on the handlebars, your grips are a little bit hard and rubbery, nothing really to write home about. You have your control pad here for controlling your different pedal assist levels, turning your headlight on and off, turning the bike on and off. Like I said before, hold the I button down, which will switch you through your different motor modes: rear, front, dual, and then automatic, and then back to rear. Over here on the right, you have a half grip twist throttle. You have a horn button underneath that. Then you have your 7-speed Shimano thumb shifter, which leads down to your 14 to 28 freewheel, and a Shimano tourney derailleur. Like I said before, 1000 watt rated rear motor. And one thing I did notice is on the rear motor, it does say 750. It does not 750 watts, but it does say 750. And the front one does say 500. However, there was a sticker on here that said 1000 watts. So there's no doubt that this thing's putting out at least 1000 watts. I did reach out to the company and ask them, and they said that's for manufacturing purposes, so they know which motors go on this bike. And they did confirm that it was 1000 watt. But the good news is that a 750 watt rated bike is still legal in most areas in the United States. So with that being stamped 750, if they ever crack down on regulations in the future, you don't have to worry about somebody checking your rear motor and saying, oh, that's 1000 watts, you're illegal, because they're going to think it's 750. So that's at least one good thing about it being stamped 750. On the back here, you do have a dual spring suspension, which is not adjustable. And on the front, you have a hydraulic suspension with the lockout and different clicks of adjustment. The wiring is wrapped pretty good up here on the front of the bike, and it does have a sensor underneath here. As it senses darkness, the light will come on. If it senses brightness, the light will go out. Let's see if we can get it to go out if we flip that up to get more light. Yeah, there you go. And if you cover the sensor, the light will come back on. So that's a nice feature that can be turned on or off and adjusted for sensitivity in the display. Now this bike does have a Find My feature, and they do state on their website that is going to be nice for theft or recovery. However, there's one huge downfall that you must keep in mind. For this anti-theft to work, it's kind of like an Apple AirTag, where you can go in your iPhone and go to Find My and you can find your bike. That is only going to work if this battery is in the bike and the key is turned on. Now the bike does not have to be turned on, but the key does. Or the bike has to be plugged in charging for it to work. But here's the only flaw with that. If you're gonna park your bike somewhere and lock it up, 10 times out of 10, you're not gonna leave the key in your bike. So if your key's not in your bike and the battery is not turned on, you're not gonna be able to go into your Find My iPhone app and find your bike if somebody steals it, because the battery is not gonna be turned on. So I don't know, that's kind of a huge negative, because that would have been a very, very, very nice feature to have if it always got power, or if it had some kind of secondary battery somewhere that would keep it going if your bike got stolen, or if it had some kind of battery like an Apple AirTag where that thing can still be tracked if your battery was removed from your bike or if your key was not in your bike. Because on like an Apple AirTag, they'll last for like almost a year before you need to change the batteries. So don't think that this is really going to be really good for an anti-theft feature. Now you can go in the settings and you can put a password, so when you turn the bike on, you have to input a password for it to work. But like I said, if you're going to lock your bike up and go into somewhere, into a store or something, you're not going to leave the key in your bike. So honestly, don't plan on that feature working. Now one thing where it will come in handy is if you let someone borrow your bike and they're out riding and you need to get on there and try to find them, if you don't know where they're at or something like that, then yes, you might be able to find it that way. But like I said, it's not really going to be good if somebody just steals your bike, unless you leave the key in it and they steal it and ride it away. Then yeah, you might be able to find it. So like I said, this battery does sit up higher because it is a 60 amp hour battery, huge capacity, and you can get an additional 20 amp hour battery to go in the frame there. The only thing I do want to mention is I took this controller out of here to confirm that it was 40 amp hours, which it was, and the controller does fit pretty tight in here long ways because the way the wires go up in, and it's really tight fit. So it might be a little bit hard to get that battery blender in here and to get the terminals in here and clear that controller. Now I'd love to test that out and see if it actually fits, if they want to send me one, but I can't guarantee that. Let me know down below if that's something that you would want to see. Now the weight of this bike with the 60 amp hour battery is 115 pounds. The battery alone weighs 29 pounds. I'm telling you guys, this is a massive battery. So the bike itself weighs, I think, around 86 pounds, and with the 60 amp hour, like I said, 115. If you got the 40 amp hour battery, I think it might be like 8 pounds lighter. So it might be like 107 pounds or something like that. Now I did notice on their website that it states that it's like 130 some pounds with the 40 amp hour battery. I think that's the whole package when it's shipped. So this one right here, when I weighed it on my scale, like I said, just as you see it here, was 115 pounds. And the minimum seat height with this bike with the 60 amp hour version battery is 36 inches from the ground up. And the 40 amp hour battery will be about 2 inches shorter than that, because like I said, it sits down a little bit lower and you can put the seat down a little lower if you had that shorter battery. And the recommended rider height for this bike with the 60 amp hour version is 5'10" to 6'4". And for the 40 amp hour version is 5'4" to 6'4". But like I said, I'm just under 5'8", and I could fit on it just fine. I could fit with not quite tippy toes, but like this, so I'm still perfectly fine riding it at just under 5'8". I'm about maybe 2 inches from being flat-footed, so I would say if you had the 40 amp hour version, 5'7" should be able to touch flat-footed. Now this bike is sitting on a pair of 20 by 4 inch fat tires, sitting on a pair of mag rims, so you don't have to worry about adjusting spokes over time. And the max payload on this bike is 400 pounds, and there is a payload capacity of 110 pounds on this rear seat. And this bike does fold down really nice if you need to pack it up for transporting it, but one thing to keep in mind is if you're going to pick it up, I would definitely take that 60 amp hour battery out of there, because that would make it 29 pounds lighter. This bike does have a really nice big headlight on the front and a nice tail light on the back, which is actually a brake light whenever you pull the brake lever. And if you need to keep your phone, GoPros, or things like that charged up while you're riding, it does have a USB-C port underneath the display here for you to charge your devices while you're out riding. Now, a few other things I wanted to mention is that the throttle is limited to whatever pedal assist level you're in. So if you want full power output, you want to be in pedal assist 5. But what's nice is you can go in the display by pushing the plus and negative, and you can change a bunch of different settings. Speed limit is set to the max. For your state of charge, you could select voltage or percent. I always like to see voltage because it's more accurate. That would be your sensitivity for your light when the display will shut off. You can go in the advanced settings. Now, current limit is not adjustable on here. I'm sure it's programmed higher than 15 amps, but you cannot change that. Assist levels, you could change 3, 5, 7, or 9 different levels. I like mine set from 0 to 5. And you can go in and you could change the level of each pedal assist level for how much power you get out of each one of those. So that's always nice to see. If you need to match someone else's riding speed, you can set your levels to whatever you want. However, if you notice, one thing I noticed is for some reason, instead of going 1 through 5, it goes 0 through 4. So 0 is actually your pedal assist 1. And 4 would actually be your pedal assist 5, and so on and so forth. I don't know why it's like that. They need to update that. You don't want to change these. That's your start strength, sensitivity of the pedal assist. This is where you can put in a password if you want to put in a password whenever you turn the bike on, like an anti-theft feature. Motor mode, you can go in here and change if you want rear, auto, front and rear, or just front. However, you could do that by just holding down the I button as well. And then throttle PAS, you could change this to on and off. I didn't see a difference, and I reached out to them and asked them, and they said that that did not make a difference no matter what it's on. So they have that programmed in there to do something, but I'm not quite sure exactly what it is. And that's about it for the display settings. All right, guys, so this is the test that I've been waiting for. I'm going to take this e-bike up that hill in every different mode, single motor, dual motor, front motor, and we're going to see how it performs coming up this. Now, if you've seen my previous video of me testing 19 different e-bikes up this hill to see how they performed, they were all hub motor bikes, and really only one made it to the top with just throttle only. So if you want to see that video, go check it out. But I'm really curious to see if this is going to make it up this hill. Now, as a fair disclaimer, when I did that 19 e-bike hill test video, the hill was not snowy. So this thing might just spin out and I might not make it to the top anyway. And I'll have to try it again another day and update you guys in another video. But this is what I have to work with. And this is going to be a really good test because of the snow. So let's get into it and try it. All right, now this is muddy down here. I expected it to be frozen today because it's only about 20 degrees out. But it's all muddy, so I'm going to have to stay on this upper edge. But here goes. This is just rear motor mode. I always start at that post. Has a real gradual, slow start. Let's see how it does with just rear motor. So about right here. Now let's try it again in dual motor. PAS 5. Oh yeah, definitely a lot more speed. Oh, right up it, no problem. Even with a snow-covered hill, right up it. Now let's try like this mid-hill snow cover just going down. Let's see if we can grip it here and come up over this. I mean, it did it, but it was spinning. But what do you expect? Look at all the snow. There's like 4 inches there on that side of the hill. That's pretty awesome. All right, now let's try front motor. Really highly unlikely that this is going to make it anywhere near up that hill, but we're going to try it anyway. Here we go. Oh yeah, it's real tame when it's just on front motor. Will it even spin out? Yeah, it'll spin, but not like it did when I was in dual motor. Now let's engage it in the dual motor here. Woo! All right, now one more test. We're gonna go up it in auto mode, which is pretty cool. I've never seen that in an e-bike before. Here we go. Auto mode. Nope. So if you want full power, make sure you're in dual motor mode. Not sure exactly how auto mode works. Let's see if it even spins both wheels. Yeah, it does. But I just think it's tamed down a lot whenever it's in that mode. All right, dual motor. I don't know. Not sure how exactly that mode works, but let's try one more time in dual motor mode, just to make sure. All right, here goes, dual motor mode. Way more speed off the start in dual motor mode. Right up it. I think the automatic mode is just more gradual. Whoops. Maybe off the start, more gradual. Let's see. Dual motor mode picks up pretty good. Let's put it in auto mode. Yeah, a lot more gradual start. So if you want the full output, full power of this bike, make sure you're in dual motor mode. I'm having way too much fun with this dual motor. All right guys, so that's gonna be about it for this video. Let me know if you would like to see anything else about this bike, or if you have any questions, please put it down in the comments below. And if you wanna keep seeing e-bike videos like this, please leave a comment down below, and also give me a thumbs up if you found this video helpful and interesting. See you guys around on the next one. Thanks for watching, everyone.